I'm Teisha Bader with Shalom TV's news update for Wednesday, July the 3rd, 2013. The Associated Press reports that a German newspaper has now expressed regret after publishing a cartoon that depicted the state of Israel as a hungry monster, causing harsh criticism from the Jewish community. The cartoon, which appeared in yesterday's Süddeutsche Zeitung, the largest German national subscription daily paper, depicts Israel as a malach, an ancient idol mentioned in the Old Testament to whom followers sacrificed their children. It shows the malach or monster holding a fork and a knife and being waited on, with the caption, "Germany is serving. Israel has been given weapons for decades and partly free of charge. Israel's enemies think it is a ravenous malach." The paper said on its website today that it regretted misunderstandings caused by the caption and that publishing the cartoon was a mistake. Several voices in the Jewish community had expressed outrage at the cartoon. Rabbi Abraham Cooper, Associate Dean of the Simon Wiesenthal Center, said that while Israel, like any other democracy, is never above reproach, he said, however, the depiction of the Jewish state as a ravenous monster deploys a classic tool of dehumanization, animalization. Stereotypes, Cooper says, that were used by the propaganda machines of Nazi Germany, adding that the characterization of the Jewish state as a ravenous malach is a blatant anti-Semitic canard. Israel's ambassador to Germany, Yaakov Hadass Handelsman, sent a letter to the editor-in-chief of the German paper where he wrote that the publication went beyond the, quote, limits of acceptable journalistic presentation, and noted that one hopes in Germany for a special sensitivity toward the Jewish state. The Jerusalem Post reports that Turkish Deputy Prime Minister Bashir al-Talai issued a statement in response to the outcry over his remarks linking the recent violent protests in Turkey to the Jewish diaspora. Al-Talai said late yesterday that his words were, quote, misconstrued intentionally by the news agency that covered the press conference where he made the remarks. He said, "I made no accusation against Jews, but I drew attention to the equity holders behind a foreign news corporation, which exaggerated the events. Otherwise," he said, "I would not say a word to hurt the Jews." As we reported to you earlier yesterday, several Jewish organizations condemned al-Talai's original remarks, where he accused the Jewish diaspora and other foreign agents of being responsible for the protests in Turkey. Most recently, last night, the leaders of the Conference of Presidents of major American Jewish organizations, Robert Sugarman and Malcolm Hoenlein, said words of incitement such as al-Talai's can lead to public reactions and even violence. They said rather than address the grievances of their people, the Turkish officials seek to ascribe the blame for these events to various foreign elements, including Jewish organizations. They know this is blatantly untrue and they must be held accountable for the irresponsibility and consequences of their diatribes. Rabbi Norman Lamb, the chancellor of Yeshiva University, announced his resignation earlier this week. And in his resignation letter, he also acknowledged his failure to adequately respond to sexual abuse allegations against two rabbis at YU's high school during the 1980s. Lamb wrote, "Despite my best intentions then, I now recognize that I was wrong. At the time that inappropriate actions by individuals at yeshiva were brought to my attention, I acted in a way that I thought was correct, but which now seems ill-conceived." Lamb reportedly dealt with the allegations that were made against the two rabbis privately at the time, choosing not to inform law enforcement authorities. YU said in a statement that Rabbi Lamb's decision to retire is based on an agreement that was reached 3 years ago. Lamb announced his retirement and attended the National Convention of the Rabbinical Council of America on Monday, where rabbis paid tribute to his decades-long leadership. The Jewish Daily Forward reports that RCA President Rabbi Shmuel Golden said he would hate to see the alleged sex abuse cover-up be the defining feature of Lamb's legacy. Golden said, "Here is a man who has contributed tremendously to the modern Orthodox community and the Jewish world at large. That should be the overwhelming aspect of what we think about as he departs." And finally today, the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews will distribute food vouchers to over 3,000 Muslim families in need in Israel ahead of the Muslim observance of Ramadan, which begins next week. The IFCJ, headed by Rabbi Yechiel Eckstein, will collaborate with the welfare departments of 69 municipalities in Israel to distribute the vouchers. Eckstein said during the Jewish holidays, Israel is immersed in a sea of mutual support and mobilization for disadvantaged groups. Minorities living in Israel also deserve the same support from society. The IFCJ was founded by Eckstein in 1983 to promote understanding between Jews and Christians and build broad support for Israel and other shared concerns. And that's Shalom TV's news update for Wednesday, July the 3rd, 2013. I'm Teisha Bader, wishing you a very happy 4th of July. We are off for the holiday weekend, but we'll be back on Monday, July the 8th.